So here we go. Hello, everyone. This is Caroline, and today is a webcast. We are November 16, 2014. So the topic today is on oneness. Of course, there are different levels of oneness, but I want to begin just by a very brief introduction about how things happened for me, because this will take me into the topic today, and then we will do a guided meditation right after that. So, for those who don't know me, and even for those who know me, just as a quick reminder, for me, everything happened as an experience. As a young child, I could simply spontaneously experience certain things that I was not taught before. So, for example, at a young age, I could experience on a cellular level the structure of a star, for example, or of a being, or of the cellular memory of consciousness and things like that. So, of course, at the time it didn't make any sense. And I started seeing maps and grids, and eventually I could see like a whole cosmic structure and different levels of energy and awareness that was all coming spontaneously. So, of course, the first thing I did is deny all this, and I thought I was crazy and I was making it up. And more importantly, I was thinking, well, who am I, to to see, to understand, to discover the nature of reality, or the structure, the construct of the cosmos or the universe or consciousness, when I don't have any, whatever, a scientific background or this or that. So, for the longest time, I was denying these experiences, and I did not want to say that I was actually experiencing things that we are supposed to experience in this way. And of course, with time, I could see the evidence of what I was experiencing. So, for example, I would see a type of structure or a grid system, and then, for example, there's this discovery at NASA that there is this hexagonal shape above Saturn, which I had seen like 10 years ago. And so I started getting more and more evidence that what I was perceiving experientially in a very spontaneous, natural manner had a very real foundation. And this happened over and over, so that eventually I started to accept that this was real. And in fact, not only that, that we are meant to receive, retrieve information about life, about reality in this organic, spontaneous manner. And then the rest, our interactions or our intellectual, if you want, mechanism comes after. It's more for discussion or for to expand it on a different level. And so that's the reason why it is not the same thing to know about oneness, to talk about oneness, or any subject for that matter. It is not the same thing to discuss these things than to be these things, to experience these things on a cellular level. And so I understood the difference between experiential and knowing or receiving the knowledge from an outside source. This is not to say that it's not helpful. Obviously, I'm sharing this information with you right now in a cognitive way and from it, on an intellectual level. But we're going to follow it with the actual experience of this information. And it's not only more validating for you, but it's a lot more empowering, because it's almost like you retrieve this information within your own being, and it's so much more powerful. And not only that, it's so much more real, and it rings true. It becomes your truth. It doesn't become. It's not someone else that told you about it, and then you just kind of feel that it's logical, and so you kind of take on that logic. It is more that you retrieve it from your own inner cellular memory, and that truth nobody can shake. It is very, very empowering and beautiful. And that's the reason why, of course, all the work that I do, the people who know me now, and for the new folks, um, uh, everything is based on the experience. So even the healers program, when we talk about different tools of healing, we talk about them, but then we experience them on a cellular level. The same thing with mastering the human mind when we're exploring the universe and the cosmic structure of the stars and the cosmic structure of consciousness and so on and so forth. We experience what these things are. And so I realized that the reason why I was having these experiences, it wasn't about me, it was about the process. It was to share this very process, to remind everyone that this is the process we came with. It's almost like our birthright, it's part of our DNA to retrieve information in this direct experience manner. This is the fundamental, to me, flaw, or the fundamental problem with our society is that we are basing everything, our entire experience, on information outside yourself, ourselves. And as soon as we do that, there is separation. This means that I need you to tell me how the universe functions. I need you to tell me how to heal myself. I need you to tell me why it is that I get a headache, a constant migraine. I need you to tell me this and that. And so I am immediately switching my consciousness, my awareness from my inner being's ability to tap into the information itself to empowering you or waiting for you, that is outside of me, to tell me what to do and how to create or how to fix my reality. So you see, there's a fundamental flaw in the way we think at the level of our brain, even. And so, even from a scientific point of view, when you observe the brain functioning as it retrieves information, only parts of the brain is being fired, is being stimulated. It's the frontal lobe, the temporal lobe. So the information is bouncing all over the place in the brain. And so the reason being, we don't know how to utilize our full brain to retrieve the information. Nobody teaches us this, that. And so there's now a vicious circle. Our brain is used to this separation. It then looks for this information outside our being. Therefore, there is separation, and it kind of it in that outside information feeds the inner mechanism. It keeps supporting its separation. You see how it's a vicious circle. And so that's the reason why I talk about this in my courses, in the classes, in the books, that we have to go back to the fundamental mechanism and functioning of how we retrieve information and make it absolutely 100% experiential, so that our brain starts to get used to functioning at 100% capacity to retrieve this information in this direct manner. So imagine now, here we are, on an individual level, we're all functioning at the fundamental level, at a brain level, in this separated manner. And so multiply that by a whole, family, multiply that by a whole community, then by a whole city, a whole county, a whole country, a whole continent. And before we know it, we have an entire world that is based on a fundamental concept of separation. And so it's really difficult to kind of think, okay, well, now you have an entire world that's functioning this way, and I am functioning this way. So it's very difficult. So how do we get out of this thing? So that's what I want to talk about today. And as I just said, we're going to experience the way we can get out of this fundamental flaw. But I do want to mention something, because we didn't come this way, without getting too much into those details. But, originally the human brain and the human consciousness did not come separated. It's kind of became that way. So why did it become that way? Again, it's a long conversation, maybe for another webcast. But I feel that there is a deviation, let's call it for now, that happened along the way about 200,000 years ago in the collective consciousness of the species that made it switch from this whole being concept to this separated concept. To such an extent that even at a cellular level, the at a brain functioning level, that separation became embedded in the DNA. So so now we have some sort of, again, there's a lot of I mean, there's a whole discussion on this we're not going to get into right now. But the idea is that because of this deviation, let's say, what happens is that now we are living in this separated world. I think about me first. I think about how I can make a living first. I think about how I can, take care of myself first. I don't think about the impact of my decision on my neighbor or on, again, another community or on another country, because they're so far, they're not going to be affected. So this is so absolutely not true. And in fact, we're seeing the result of this sort of thinking in the global state of things, from atmosphere to politics to economy to consciousness. On all levels, we have been feeding off this separation that it's now become a real reality. So my point is, in a strange way, this separation is kind of also a defense mechanism, because we are so energetically on a consciousness level connected to the collective consciousness that we are, instead of wanting to feel and experience the collective consciousness that is so misaligned, so confused, so tired, so separated, so functioning so poorly, then the way we can survive is at least to think about ourselves and say, well, at least let me put myself in a bubble so I can breathe, so I can kind of create my reality and at least make some sense out of this existence, you see. So what happens is that even this kind of defense mechanism is also based on separation in a strange way, but it's kind of helping us survive, not feeling the collective consciousness on such a deep level, because the collective consciousness is so messed up. I mean, we have to say things the way they are, right? So how do we get out of this circle, this vicious circle? And how do we come back to a true sense of oneness? How can we feel this oneness, experience this deep, deep, profound oneness with the rest of the world, and still kind of manage to create our reality with a higher vibration, and at the same time allow the rest of the world to also experience this oneness? So that's why it gets very, very confusing, and that's the reason why I wanted to bring a little bit of clarity to this whole thing. Because even if we think we are not connected to the folks in India or China or in Africa, we are. There is a level of oneness that is inherent with the very fabric of our DNA. So, in other words, oneness exists on an intellectual level. So, this is what we've been talking about. I want to feel one. I want the universe to come together. I want the world to come together. This is all intellectual. So, for example, I will do certain things that would help me feel connected to my neighbor, or I will do some charity work, or I will bring some communities together, or I will merge companies together. So all these things are effort to come together as one. But it is still at a level, it's still on an intellectual level or on a business level or on a functionality level. It's not at an intrinsic level, it's not on a cellular deep level. So there's that level that we are talking about. So talking about and being the information is not the same thing. That's what I started to tell you in the beginning. And so the other level is this energetic level. This means that I am energy, you are energy, every person on this broadcast is energy, but everything else around them is around us is also a form of energy. Because we are energy, we are vibrating, we have an energy field. So all of these energy fields are interconnected. They're vibrating and resonating and sending off information. I'm sending off information to you. You're sending information to me. I'm sending information to the neighbor. He has no clue, but he's also sending off information to his neighbor, and so on and so forth. So this energetic level is happening anyway. We're not aware of it, but that energetic level is not being addressed, is like we are not clearly focusing on that level and making it a true oneness in terms of vibration. So there's that. And then there's a third level, which is the level of the physical level. And so I'm not talking about physical in terms of material, but I'm talking about the very structure of the physical body and the physical DNA. This means that if you kind of zoom in and you go very, very deep into the cell, even at a subatomic level, you will find a structure, a shape, which is a geometric shape. And let's say, just for the sake of simplicity, let's say that you see that the basic structure is a triangle or a tetrahedron, let's say. Again, we're simplifying things here. And so at the subatomic level, there is this geometric structure that is then perfectly coherent mathematically, and it's contained within a larger tetrahedron or a hexagonal shape, which is mathematically coherent, which is your organs, which is then contained within a larger geometric form, which is your physical body, which is then contained within a larger form, and so on and so forth. So then the ratio between every level of these geometric structure is perfectly coherent, meaning one fits perfectly with the other, which fits perfectly with the other. This means it's kind of like a Russian doll kind of a thing. This means that the tiniest little structure is perfectly coherent with the larger structure. This means that everything that's happening at this tiny, tiny little structure level, well, the bigger structure knows about it because it is contained within it, right? And whatever happens to the very largest structure, well, the tiniest structure knows about because it's connected in this holographic, in this geometric way. And so what this means is that we are occupying a physical body that is geometrically, physically, mathematically coherent with the geometry of the Earth, the planet Earth, and its consciousness. And so that makes it that we are all then geometrically, if I'm a bunch of triangles, obviously I'm simplifying, and you are a bunch of triangles, and everyone else is a bunch of triangles, and let's say the Earth is a massive hexagonal shape. So mathematically, we all fit perfectly within that shape, which means, as a Russian doll principle, we all know of everything else that is happening within this larger structure. Not only we know of each other, but within the structure, the larger structure. This means that we are one, whether we know it, whether we like it or not. So the cells, which are the little triangles, are interconnecting and talking to each other and receiving all of this information. And the Earth, and obviously the galaxy, and beyond that as well, is also sending us this this larger consciousness and telling us how to kind of be in this oneness consciousness, but intellectually we are not one. We are creating things out of separation. We are creating things out of selfishness, out of greed, out of confusion, and so on and so forth. So you see the dichotomy, you see the conflict between the two, that at the base, we are one anyway. We are one in a mathematical, physical, at a DNA level. Energetically, we are one. And intellectually, the way we are functioning, the way we are thinking, we are not one. And so that's the reason why we feel weird, we feel strange, because the core of our being is connected to all of life, to the planet, to the collective consciousness, to the universe. And our mind is not. And so that's the reason why we try to make sense of why we feel so strange and why we try to create this reality, you know? We try to create this reality that's so whole and so holistic and so connected to the universe, that's, you know, and at the same time, because the core of our being, we feel this connection, but we can't simply be it in this world. And so that's what we're going to work on today, experientially. We're going to work first within your being, inside your being, because if you don't have within your own being this perfect coherence within yourself, meaning from the functioning, from the geometry, from the alignment of your physical brain to the rest of your physical cells and your physical body, if you don't experience that in your own being, how can we experience that in the outer world? So that's what we're going to start with. We're going to start with this experience. How can we truly, not simply say we want to be one, but we are going to experience what it's like to be 100% one within our cellular makeup. And then from that, we're going to then expand it into how to be one within the collective consciousness, and then how to be, that will take us to how to be one, how to experience this oneness on a deep cellular level, on an energetic level, with the galaxy and then with the universe. And once we do that, now we have become perfectly coherent within our being all the way to the universe, which is, again, going back to the Russian doll principle. We can then retrieve information from the bigger doll, which is the universe, instantly through our physical cells, through our physical being. And that is what was happening to me spontaneously. That's why I started this whole conversation with that intro, is to tell you that once your brain functioning, your cellular makeup is becomes perfectly coherent with the rest of the universe, it is impossible for you not to know and retrieve information that is present in the universe right here through your physical being. And if I do that and you do that and our neighbors do that and everyone else does that, then that becomes a pretty extraordinary society and reality, don't you think? All right. So I hope this was kind of brings some clarity as to the different levels and the different aspects of what oneness is, and how we're going to then reconfigure our physical cells so that this perfect coherence becomes real. And by doing so, you will see, as I will guide you through the exercise, you will see that we are going to expand into oneness with the planet, but not in the way you think. Anyway, so we'll see what happens. All right. So here we go.